This one, we're talking about some real clapped out stuff here. When I say clapped, I mean clapped. My 91 Caprice has been pushed to the back burner for a very long time, and it was honestly one of the cars that I wanted so bad. I love B-bodies. Since I was a kid, I wanted I was like, oh, when I get money, I'm gonna get a Mustang. Don't judge me. Then I saw a 9.6 Impala shoot through the neighborhood and said, whoa, I was in love with the body, man. Now, I am not a Impala enthusiast. Nothing wrong with Impala enthusiasts. I love the body. It's not really the name that does it. I love the body. I love B-body. So anyway, found this guy that worked at the Pep Boys local to my house at the time, Eric. Super cool. He had it. It was clapped when he had it, but guess what? It ran and it was a B-body. So I was absolutely on it. Harassed this dude over and over and over, and then eventually he caved. Got it off him for like, how much did I pay that man? I don't know, it might've been like 800 bucks. I don't remember, but it wasn't in the greatest of condition. Got it off of him, and that's when I really started learning and going heavy when it comes to actually wrenching and getting busy when it came to actually doing mods. And I mean, shoot, for that much, my own routine maintenance. So this one really kicked it off for me. And I mean, this thing, regardless of how clapped it was, it got me back and forth to work every day. It got me back and forth from picking up my friends from work, running errands. Shoot, it got my friend up back and forth to college when I had to drive him out to like Reading, PA and make it back home. My mom had to come because I got a flat, but we live and we learn. So that thing has been with me through thick and thin. And sad part is, my minimum wage job working at frickin' Rite Aid, I grinded to get the little bit that I had. And of course, what happens when you got something desirable, or even a tiny bit desirable, somebody else wants it, they're gonna try to take it. This car has been stolen from me probably about 3 times. No lie. About 3 times. And just having, I guess, like being in a community of certain people, you can post it, somebody knows somebody, there's eyes here, eyes there, and it gets found. But when you find it, of course, everything's missing. The last time it was stolen though, that was very methodical because they knew where I was. I know exactly around what time of night it occurred because of a partial camera that was on a wall, which didn't help too much except for let me know the gap that it was stolen. Hacked it up. I've competed in sound comps with this thing. I've freaking souped up the motor. Of course, not no machine shop crap. Don't go there. You know, I was broke. I still am, but I was broke-er then. So with going to all of these car shows, making these connections, competing and doing all of this other stuff, of course, people, they see it. You go to a show, they see what you got. They try to find you, and they probably get it. Again, I'm on the street. I don't have a garage. I don't have a lot. I don't have a yard. I don't have anything. I literally have the street. So absolutely thinking back, hindsight, maybe not the smartest thing to do, but when you're really passionate about something and it brings you joy, you kind of find a way to do it. It's really hard to like just sit and not do anything and just wait, which, I mean, patience is a virtue. I'm learning that now, so who knows what the right thing to do would have been. But anyway, still got this thing, and I have not structural rust as far as the frame, but definitely the floors gone, or at least, okay, I'll say big chunks of the floor gone. Me not knowing that a windshield drip can actually equate to, oh no, your floors are gonna rot out now. So that's what happened. So gotta replace some floor panels, on the hunt for those. The motor that's in it, I've swapped it multiple times. This one that's in it still didn't work out. It sucks because RVT Built and myself talk about this all the time. People on YouTube, freaking articles that you read, Hot Rod Magazine. Oh, I just grabbed this used good running 350 and threw a cam in it. We do stuff like that, it always falls on its face, all the time. I don't think I've successfully done it yet, which honestly, I'm scared to do that with the Kodiak, but guess what? I'm gonna do it. Why? Because I didn't learn from my lesson. Multiple engines, had issues. This one still knocks, and I am swapping it out. The plan is to go LS. Who knows what might happen in the meantime, but we'll see. So long story short, what I'm trying to do now is trying to get some hands back on it because I keep getting abandoned freaking stickers slapped on it. even though it moves, you know, from spot to spot. No, I'm not moving it every day because there's no need to do so, but yeah, it was a whole thing. Hopefully we're in a better spot now. Police were involved. I talked to them. Well, I'm the one that actually requested them. Talked to them, and things seem okay, but it hasn't been too long. We'll see how that goes. Just trying to get it into a better place piece by piece. And for starters, we're gonna make sure that we can actually turn it on, it'll run, and not overheat. So that involves attacking the cooling system. There's a lot of things that I do want to do, but for now, I'm gonna make what it has work the way that it's supposed to. So thermostat, swapping that out. Getting that out of here because that's probably freaking snap seized shut. Then making sure that the system's actually full with coolant for starters to make sure that's done. Also, making sure that the Impala fans that are in there are properly mounted because I never mounted them the way they should have been. They're just kind of there with a couple bolts and whatever, but they're there. Goal is, that's what we're attacking first, and we're just gonna chip away until the next thing, which I kind of already have in hand, but it's super freaking cold, so we'll see when we get to it. But all right, y'all, let's get into it, man. So starting off, I was looking at these fans and definitely realized how janky some of the work that I did was in the past, but I was probably just working with what wire I had on hand, being cheap. But anyway, that was the first thing that caught my attention, was just looking at these connections to see if any corrosion really went through it too much to the point where it's like, okay, this isn't usable. Then started using this Milwaukee pack out thing that I got, and comes in super handy. Was able to have more organization, I guess you could say, with doing all of this stuff, and everything I needed was right there. So once I just set up shop on the back of the truck, I was good to go. Then just to make sure I was wiring it up the right way, because it's not a clear red and black or white and black, they were kind of mixed up. So I had to make sure that I had the polarity right of which one was going to be positive, which one is going to be negative, so that way the fans actually pulled the right direction and didn't push. All right, so I'm out here now. Get ready to pop the hood on this thing, and got a few gadgets with me. I got my jump box, which this is, I want to say this is the, well, second technically. I got one from Harbor Freight. It was too small. It was on sale. Weeks later, they came out with another one. Gave that one to my mom because she has her daily driver, which is a small engine. It's like a, 6 liter or something like that, maybe even a 4 liter. But anyway, got one that's bigger, that's supposedly supposed to start big boy stuff. Lithium, my first time really going to deal with it. I got some wipers because this thing needs freaking wiper blades. And I get a chance to check out and use my new tool actually in real life. So this is the Milwaukee Rover, and it's funny because it actually looks kind of like a dog. If I was to take the battery off and actually pop this thing up, it literally looks like a dog. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Lighting is very long, based off of a 5 amp hour battery, and it's their base battery, not even like the XC one or whatever. No, not the XC, the high output, the HO. So here's a closer look at it. You just slide the battery in the bottom, and that's what holds it. Also got the new Milwaukee forged. These are supposed to be like super fantastic. Did a little bit of research on them, not as much as I would like to yet. But yeah, just click that bad boy in, and then it's good to go. So the problem I'm noticing already though is this kind of sticks out and it's not flush with the face. If I want to use this magnet, I think that this magnet here isn't going to go exactly where I want it to go, but we'll see. My goal was to put it under the hood and just operate it like that with the magnet, but I'll figure it out. And then on the back, turn it on. It comes on immediately on like the highest brightness, which is pretty bright. Like it's nuts. Definitely going to help me out, but I'm going to put this thing to the test and see how it does. So found a way for it to work. I had to go over where the battery kind of sat and gave it a little pocket to sit in here because there's a step. Definitely not going to shake the hood too much because it's probably not the most stable, but it is working and it's giving me a decent amount of light. So I'm just going to get the fans, get them over here, and figure out where I'm going to wire up the relays at. All right, so I finished up the wiring as best as I could, replaced it with fresh copper, and now I'm just going to sit them in place. And like I said, start to figure out where is going to be best for me to mount these relays. I'm thinking something like the Kodiak on the opposite side, the driver's side, while the battery's over on the passenger, because it can get kind of cluttered in here pretty quick when it comes to everything being bunched on one side. All right, there's one screwed in. I'll fully tighten that later. Get the other one in place. All right, I gotta tighten up some more, but I'll do that later. All right then, so here's our wires. And I have more than enough, but I think I'm just gonna get the battery, sit it in for now. All right, here we go. And I usually don't keep it in here, especially in the wintertime, because the cold drains the battery. And there's something about these old Chevys. Sometimes, I mean, at least with me, I don't have the best of luck when it comes to finding the parasitic draw that these things have. And if you're not driving it like on a daily, it drains. So this is kind of just sitting in place. What I definitely am going to do though, this canister that's like the evap canister, this hasn't been functioning in God knows how long. So that's going to go because it's broken anyway, and I'll probably have to, if I do try to replace it, get an aftermarket one. And those are usually more universal and can fit in the tighter spaces. Okay, fast forward. I didn't bore you guys to death with the wiring. The wiring I did is temporary because there's a lot of stuff that I'm gonna have to clean up. Like for example, this old hack job from years ago before I know what I know now. And granted, I am not a super duper wiring guru. But anyway, got the relays wired up. I gave myself some extra slack in some places, like I said, because I'm probably gonna trim and cut things to size when I actually figure out what I'm gonna do here. I just want it to be so that the fans will function the best that they can for what I kind of have set up right now. Plus in the future, I'm probably going to end up, well, I know for a fact, I'm going to end up getting different fans. Not that these, you know, Impala ones are bad, but I'm probably going to get different fans and a new aluminum radiator, whole new setup for the cooling, period. But for the time being, battery's all charged up. Took it off the charger, plugged it in, hooked it up to the car, and last I read, pulled out the multimeter and I was getting 12.8. So that's currently what this is resting at, which is 12.8. A lot better than it was when I tried to start it before. I have the other jump box here that I may need, because this thing takes, ever since I swapped the cam in this, it's taken a long time to start, which I kind of expected. And overheating's always been a thing. Well, not always, but just as of late. So let me get this thing started. I finally, and it took me a long time, as you can see, it's super dark. It took me a long time, but I finally found the wire that was going from my switch in the car to turn on the fans. I just snipped that off of the old wiring, put it onto the new relays, and so now the fan is operated by the switch. All right, so started her up, she's running. That box worked great, didn't take long at all. And let's hit the switch and get these fans on. Fans are running strong. Good stuff, man, good stuff. Okay, man, time jump forward. It's been about, I don't know, a couple days. Lots happened in those couple of days, but it is, well, Happy New Year. It is New Year's Day, and I am night work tonight. So just trying to maximize my time here and just do a couple of things that I wanted to get done just to get it to a better place so it is more reliable with the driving, even though I'm not driving it every day, but just to have it be more reliable. So I was headed from the auto parts store and grabbed a few things that I wanted to get. I don't even know if it's a problem, but they aren't expensive things. Got a thermostat, I got the thermostat gasket, and what else did I grab? And I got like Teflon tape just to put in the new gauge that I ordered. But anyway, grabbed that stuff and I was like, all right, I gotta, you know, start the day. Went by Wawa, had to get some gas, coffee, especially because gas at this station was like freaking $2.79 which is not often. It's usually like at least $3. So even though I wasn't empty, I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna fill up and get something going. So here's the stuff here. Got this thermostat gasket because I didn't feel like fighting with, what's that stuff called? RTV gasket maker or anything like that. So I just got this one, which is like the reusable kind. And then I grabbed this thermostat. I just grabbed the 160 degree, why not? And got the Teflon tape, which I'm quite sure I have a bunch of it, but didn't want to get caught with my pants down and then not have it and have to come back out. Then I already got my Milwaukee pack out thing with me, which is fantastic. I mean, as far as organizing the stuff and having it where I can just reach, grab, I know what I want, super cool. So to add to the BS and drama, I found out who was one of the main culprits who was constantly harassing my car and constantly calling on it and trying to get the police to take it. From the last clip that you guys saw, which is where I came out and this is the third time it happened, PD around where I'm at, they're cool about it because it's legal, it's registered, it's insured, and it is drivable. I mean, of course, yes, it doesn't look the greatest because it's a clapped out Chevy and it's a 91, but and usually the way it works, I'll, move the car just to show like, hey, it works, turn it on, move it up, hey, it's fine, and end the story. I do give them a phone call and just say, hey, look, this is the guy, this is my tag number, and, just making sure we're good. It moves. I've dealt with it a couple of times. I know the neighbors are kind of like annoying, so you guys, I guess, got to do something. I guess that's how that works. So spoke to them again for the third time. It was all good. They said you're fine. End of story. So when I did move it up, I just moved it up a few spots where it was at actually years ago. And well, not years, but not too long ago. It was up in the same spot, and went in the house, called it a day. So the day that you guys saw shortly ago, Jesus Christ, here we go already. Just trying to live my freaking life, bro. Where I put the fans in, and which they were already in. I just took them out, rewired them, put them back in. That day, the guy well, not directly across the street, but he was like the neighbor, and I was across the street from his neighbor. Super nasty, horrible attitude, and I guess because I didn't give him the response that I want, telling him like, hey, well, the response that he wants, have a nice day, he just kept going. And at this point, I'm like, all right, dude, this is harassment, because he's been walking his dog regardless of where I'm at in the neighborhood, finding the car and still calling regardless of where it's parked, which is insane. That wrapped it up for that night. Called it a day, went home, gave my old lady the heads up, like, look, at this point, not gonna say why I'm kind of really trying to take that route, but I'm like, at this point, I need to get the cops involved so that way they know, like, hey, this is a paper trail, it's not me starting the crap. And truthfully, dealing with some verbal whatever, I wouldn't even have I could deal with that, but the fact that they're acting on it and continuously giving me abandoned stickers, that's the problem. So then I go back and move it. I think it was literally the next day. It was probably the next day. The next day, I got off of work, came straight back over to the car right outside of my development, and as soon as I parked my truck, the Kodiak that I'm in now, behind it, this dude's already walking out of the door. You don't have anything else better to do? And I'm like, dude, I'm coming from work. You don't have anything else better to do except for listen and come out and harass me. But anyway, at that point, my old lady had enough, and she's the one that called and got the ball rolling. And I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. So end up having to call the police, explain to them the situation. They had to go and talk to the guy. Don't know what's going to happen. It sucks because I don't want him to feel like he won, but it is what it is, just taking a higher road. I moved it again up to a side street further away from my home while I do tinker. It's not like I'm doing freaking motor swaps and trans swaps on the car. But anyway, that's my snippet of dealing with people's crap, and which is why doing work when you don't have facilities, it just adds more complication to it. Regardless of how much you clean up in your community, you talk to people, you help people, doesn't matter. There's always going to be those people that are just the bad seeds that will just ruin their lives and chop off their nose to spite their face. But anyway, moving past that, we're gonna pull over to it. I'm gonna go to the house. I'm gonna drop off this bag of coffee from my old lady and my stepmom. And did I say stepmom? Lord, what? My mother-in-law. And get the ball rolling, man, and try to get at least this new gauge installed and go from there. All right, so we're back at the car, and I'm just showing y'all the glow shift, what's this thing called? Temp gauge first. It's not super expensive. I mean, it was like 54 bucks, not bad. It works pretty simple. I'm just gonna take all the pieces out, get the Teflon tape, kind of pre-wrap stuff, because it is pretty cold, and it's windy, so I'm not even sure how the audio is gonna come out. All right, so getting set up for everything I need. I got some window cleaner and a couple of towels. I don't have the big towels that I wanted, but whatever. So yeah, got the batteries, of course the Milwaukee thing, all that crap. Then I got the wiper blades that I want to put on there because it definitely needs some wiper blades. Those are absolutely shot from the sun. And yeah, gonna clean up the windows, replace those, and then come up with a plan as far as to get this in and where it's gonna go. I definitely should have put on my freaking boots, me rushing, put these things on, which soak up water like there's no tomorrow, but they're easy to slip on. So just pop this hood. Okay, as a matter of fact, I can kind of get like a better daylight view, but the issue I ran into, dang it, and I knew I was forgetting something. See how those sides are not connected here on the fan? So it wasn't really that bad at first. I gotta tighten up these bolts, that's number one, in the top. But also, looking on the forums, I found out it's a 6mm and it has like a 10, size 10 socket head. So I gotta grab those. I think I got a couple in the free world and take those out, bolt this thing on so it doesn't move. Then to add to it, like I said, the wiring, this isn't the permanent solution. It's just over here for the time being. This canister is going to go, and that's going to create extra space. And that way I can kind of get the final wiring done, run it clean, trim off the excess, and then pretty much just wrap it up. But now, as far as the temp gauge, it's crazy because looking back over my work from like years ago, I definitely needed some help. But this is the current sensor that I have running in the car to the dash. Not even sure if it's not working properly, maybe it is, but it's reading kind of high pretty fast. I did have a previous issue where I'm not sure when I put the top end of this thing together if something was wrong with like the intake gaskets or something was crossing or the head, I don't know. But it seemed like it heated up pretty quick, which was not good. Then over here, I have that sensor down here. And it's funny because I found out that this sensor here with the one wire tab, this is the one that actually tells your dash what the temperature is. The other one up here that tells the temperature, that actually goes to the PCM to let the PCM know what, I guess, you know, temperature it is, how much fuel to add, how much to take away, all that crap. So yeah, for starters, just gonna get the new temp sensor in and kind of go from there. And the first thing I'm gonna start off with is swapping out that thermostat. Okay, so this is absolutely looking pretty gnarly, and it would not surprise me one bit if this was clogged and not working. So still don't know if it's the culprit, but going to swap it out just because it's something cheap and something to rule out just to make it simpler. Okay, so here's what's interesting. I'm glad I didn't leave it running wrong. I'm glad I didn't leave it running long, but here is the old thermostat. I'm actually able, and I was able to do it with the screwdriver, to push this plunger down that opens up with a screwdriver. So it may not have been jammed at all. But what really interests me is looking in the actual intake. I would call that bone dry. That's not normal. So I'm definitely going to put some more fluid. It could have been something just as simple as that, and I'm hoping that that's the case, but we'll see. All right, so fast forward a bit. I cleaned this thing up a lot compared to what it was. looking pretty nasty. And just kind of like head bolts. I mean, I might have been overthinking this a bit, but I tried to get, and I did, I kind of stuck a towel piece down in there to get all the water that was in here out. So as I was turning the bolt, I was hoping it wouldn't like pressure lock and then too much pressure and I cracked something. So got the water out of these bolt holes, cleaned up the surface, just gonna kind of drop that in place. I had a 180 in here. This is the 160. The 180 should have absolutely been fine. Then I also cleaned this bad boy up. The inside of it was horrendous. So was this. Surprisingly, this is actually better than it was. But I'm just gonna kind of put it in place, kind of lay the gasket out just for now, because I know the only thing I'm gonna have to do is just tighten all of this stuff up. And then even this part here, I just clean it up a little bit and gonna kind of assemble it. But for the time being, I'm actually gonna close the hood and go and get my antifreeze, because I thought about it and I was like, since I'm here, why not? I'm gonna pour straight in until the block itself is actually full. Then I'm gonna install this, tighten it up, and then go from there. And on a side note, here's another thing that went down. He actually, and must have, well, once again, don't have 100% proof, I never had this issue with my mirror at all. I'm quite sure the guy that was mouthing off was the one that came over and did that out of spite. Wow. All right, back over here, pour some antifreeze in, tighten it up, put the grounds back on. Just gonna reconnect the hose. And one thing that kind of got in the way here was I thought, and I mean 3/8 NPT, that's the size for small block Chevy, like temperature ports and whatnot in the intakes. But I forgot this is a Holley projection intake, so this one doesn't have the same size. It's actually like a lot bigger. So there's already an adapter in there to adapt it down to the old sensor that I have. So I tried thinking hopefully this adapter would go in, but it is absolutely not the same thread pitch. As soon as it gets started, it stops. So that kind of, you know, pooped on that. But anyway, going to put the old one back in, button this up, and start it up. And then after I start it, I'll clean off the windows and everything, swap out the wiper blades, and that'll give it some time to get some heat in it, just to see if the thermostat actually opens up and I can see it flow through. And that's another thing that kind of complicated it a bit. It worked for a while, but this is the Impala SS radiator and fan shroud. The Impala SS's do not have caps on the radiator. It is like a remote reservoir that has a cap on it. So I had to put this adapter on in order to fill mine from here. All right, so I got the jump box on just to make the start that much quicker. And yeah, gonna start it up. All right, so now it's running. I ran out of freaking gas, and that's why I wasn't starting. But yeah, just put some 93 in there. Now it's running, and let's see what happens. It's running. Just gonna watch the temp gauge and see what that does. Hopefully it works. And also I gotta have the cap off of my fill spot, so that way I can see if any fluid's flowing. So I don't really believe these gauges very much. I mean, we'll see, but that one is like at a little over 50 PSI. I know for a fact that this motor does not hold that cold, plus it hasn't been driving for a long distance in a while. Then water temp, the volts don't work. Water temp, it didn't move yet, so I'll see when it does start to move if the thermostat opens up. All right, so drove it around the neighborhood. It didn't do bad. It just did creep up a little bit. It's at like 190, which is better than freaking 230. So there it is at 190 now. I need to clean this thing so you can see it better. But I mean, the fans themselves, they don't really have like the best of seals, because I still have to put the bolts on, so they're not even like fully flat on the radiator. But yeah, so I'm gonna get those bolts in, get some more fluid in there. It's probably like air or whatever, but yeah, so definitely progress.